as well as in the audience. I appreciate everyone coming out this morning. My name's Henry Stern. I'm your state senator up in Sacramento. I grew up in these mountains, and we're here today because many of you, including myself, have serious concerns. This is not an occasion we seek to be at, or that we're here on our usual excellent public gatherings where we get to talk about wildlife and open space and the beauty of our mountains, but it's on a much more serious note. And I just want to thank everyone who came out from the community, especially, to take time out of your day to hopefully get some answers and some clarity on the path forward. I especially want to thank Captain Johnny Starling here, the commander of the West Valley area from California, and Lieutenants James Royal, Rodney Moore, and Randy Twinstra from the Lost Hills Sheriff Station. As well as Craig Sapp and Tony Hoffman from State Parks. Trooper Snow from National Park Service. And finally, Walt Young from the MRCA for joining us here. Folks, we're here today because we've had a total of 8 shooting incidents in Malibu Creek and Malibu Canyon back to November 3rd, 2016. The fatal shooting of Tristan Beaudet that occurred this past June came to all of our attention because of its senselessness, the brutality of the act, and the mystery behind it. 4 of the shootings were actually on state land, and the rest have occurred on unincorporated LA County land. There are 60 campsites within the Malibu Creek State Park that have been closed indefinitely. And I know that many rumors persist around the hundreds of thousands of people who visit these parks annually. We have about 250,000 visitors every year. I know many of you are also rightfully concerned, as I am, about our future and what it's going to look like, even beyond these incidents, what the state of these mountains are going to be, how we operate and maintain them, what kind of attention we pay to public safety in an ever-expanding and increasingly difficult rural environment, to police. So I want to credit our law enforcement and conservation officers up here today for suggesting that we put this forum together. As you can see, there are many jurisdictions that have some control over these mountains. And I am so grateful to you all for the coordination and the information sharing, the camaraderie that is very rare sometimes in government. We like to operate in silos, but these gentlemen and their agencies have stepped up and really put their heads together to try to solve these crimes and to try to chart a path forward for all of us. So the LA County Sheriff Department, I'm just going to walk you through it. LA County Sheriffs are going to give us an update initially on the status of this ongoing homicide investigation. And I hope we can all bear in mind that there are limits to how much information can be shared today. You may not get all your questions answered because it may not be safe to answer those questions. There is a lot of risk to intervening in ongoing investigations, and for that reason, sharing of tactics, strategy, information just isn't appropriate. And I hope folks can respect and appreciate that, knowing full well though that we're hungry for more and more info. But we'll work through that, through the presentation from the Sheriff's Department, as well as through your questions, which I'll help us all sort of talk through. Then we're going to hear from our agencies about what each of them are doing in terms of security, as well as long-term planning. And I see some of you may have these maps of the mountains. Did anyone pick up a map? So you can see the patchwork. But this is it unified here in a joint task force that we'll be talking about a little later. There are important developments up in the Capitol too. We have jurisdiction obviously over state parks and CHP directly, and we've had a good budget. this year. We added to the parks budget, for instance, providing for 142 new rangers by the end of the year. Those rangers will be added to the ranks, and now we're working to ensure that our community gets our fair share of those resources. The same goes for California Highway Patrol, and we'll be talking about that issue, but resources don't solve this whole problem. Some of these crimes are just complicated. So I don't want to overtalk this. I'm here to facilitate and to be a resource for you all. And I really want to thank our staff here, who are incredible service professionals and here to help facilitate that. Kevin Taylor, my district director, standing in the back corner. Jeremy Wolf is in the back of the room. Those of you who know Jeremy and I mountain bike and hike through Malibu Creek State Park a couple times a week, actually, at dusk and all throughout the seasons. And so we spend a lot of time thinking about this on a first-hand basis. And then finally, my chief of staff is here today, Matt Weiner, who permanently makes himself down in LA so that he can give maximum service to you guys, because we really do have challenges here that we need to focus on. I want to pass it over very briefly, if I could. We have another important partner at the state level in the Santa Monica Mountains, and that's the assembly member for this area, Richard Bloom. And Tim Pershing from his office is here today. I saw Tim walking in.
I'm up here.
Tim, did you want to just jump up real quick if you want to share a statement from the assembly member?
Yeah.
Bear with us. We're going to get through the presentations, and then please do take note. Does everyone know where the comment cards and questions are? Did you all get a hold of those? So we'll be working through that as we go. But Tim Pershing is with Assemblymember Richard Bloom's office. So thank you.
The assembly member couldn't be here this morning because he has a very important meeting with his family. The assembly member can't be here this morning because he has a very important meeting with his family he has to attend to. And he sent me with a statement. When I heard of the tragic shooting of Tristan Beaudet, I was deeply pained. Our hearts go out to his two young children and their mother as they move through life. They came to camp and enjoy the peace of the mountains and to give Tristan's wife some peace work to work at home. We have experienced too much gun violence in our country, in churches, schools, urban streets, and now in a place specifically preserved for escaping the noise and pressure of life and the peacefulness of nature. That peace has been shattered. When Senator Stern and I learned of the murder of Tristan Beaudet, we promptly arranged for a briefing with law enforcement. Since then, we have stayed abreast of developments and will continue to do so. Our offices will make staff available to you if you have questions, and we will do our best to be a conduit for factual information. I want to thank my staff and that of Senator Stern for their efforts, and I particularly want to thank Senator Stern for organizing this program and the men and women of our law enforcement and conservation agencies. It is incumbent on all of us to also do our part. Senator Stern and I in Sacramento, and all of you, the many of you here today, in your communities and work, to make our lives and the lives of those who share our communities with us safer. We owe it to Tristan Beaudet. And importantly, we owe it to his wife and daughters. Thanks.
Thank you, Tim. So I'll just say one thing before we get started here. We need to take our land back, and we can't cede these mountains to any kind of violence or fear. And I truly believe that the interagency task force and the community-facing nature of this exercise is going to be the critical infrastructure that actually lets us retake this land. We don't want to be known in this region for these kinds of incidents. We don't want to be defined by this, and we certainly don't want to live in fear. So today is about trying to knit some infrastructure together at a civic level that we can truly lean on to be durable for years to come. And that's why I'm so proud to announce the development of this Santa Monica Mountains Interagency Task Force that you see represented before you here today, not just for the purposes of this investigation, but on an ongoing basis in these Santa Monica Mountains. That interagency coordination, though, is nothing if you don't know about it. So part of it is about not just us talking to each other and getting those briefings, but about being accessible to you. So as we walk through today, I want you to know that this is just the start of an ongoing conversation with this community. And I so appreciate the willingness of our agencies to open themselves up to that. They've already been on a consistent basis, and Lost Hills will tell you, and a few others have been doing community liaising, but I think having everyone here in the same place hopefully should help you all feel a little more confident that we're not sleeping on these incidents, and we're working 24/7 to keep you all safe. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to start to Captain Johnny Starling, Commander of the West Valley area for California Highway Patrol. Thank you, Captain Starling.